Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back for another Tuesday training. I am your host, Tony Merwin. I'm here every Tuesday at 9 a.m. We are doing our best to bring you guys actionable content that you can put in your business and help yourself grow. That is the whole theme of the show, and we are certainly glad to have you. We have a really good guest on today, something a little different than maybe what you normally see, but we are here to talk about something very important to sales, and that is your pipeline, right? There's a lot of aspects to marketing and sales that are going to help you be successful out there, but one thing that is an absolute constant, no matter what line of business you're in, even if it's not insurance, if you're in sales and marketing, one of the most important things that you have that's going to dictate whether or not you're successful in this business is your pipeline, right? Keeping people coming in the pipeline, managing them as they go through the pipeline, what stage of the buying process they are at. And we have someone from Agency MVP here to talk to us about that today. We've got a phenomenal slide presentation for you. I want to go ahead and get her right up on stage so we can chit chat and get to know this lady a little bit. Her name is Ashley Solis. Please give her a little virtual welcome. What is up, Ashley? How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Tony. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. Now, you're up there in what, Mansfield, Texas?
Yes.
Now, most people don't know where the heck Mansfield, Texas is. Whereabout is that in Texas?
So you know where the Cowboy Stadium is?
Oh, yes.
We're a small town right outside of there.
Okay, perfect. How's the weather up there for you guys today?
It's pretty good. Looks a little gloomy, but it's warm, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I enjoy the warm weather that we are now getting. So take just a quick moment, if you don't mind, and just introduce yourself to the audience. Just let them know who you are, what you're about, and kind of what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so again, I'm Ashley. I work at Agency MVP. I've been here for about 3 years. I had the operations here, so just the day-to-day sales, coaching new agents that have joined us. I'm married. I have two beautiful children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I started here, I think I said about 3 years ago, and I love it. I love getting to meet new people every day and helping agents just grow their insurance agency.
Oh, fantastic. And what exactly is Agency MVP? Is that an insurance agency or?
No, so Agency MVP is a smart lead management system that ranks your households. We have an algorithm to help you just go through your leads, your prospects, and we show you who's most valuable, who's most likely to close every day.
Oh, that sounds something very useful. Is it specific just to the property casualty insurance world?
So it's mostly for property and casualty. You can use it for commercial as well. I know some agents who do property and casualty and they do health. So they love MVP so much, they just figure out a way to use the health part with MVP. So, but mostly, yeah, property and casualty.
Okay. And my understanding is you're not just the operations director, Agency MVP, but you're also a real estate agent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. How long you been doing that?
I've been a realtor for 2 years.
Okay, fantastic. Just curious which one you like better, insurance or real estate?
I love them both, and they kind of blend together, right? Because, you buy a house, you need insurance. So,
Yeah, well said. They definitely can overlap. Well, let's just dive right in. I believe we have a slideshow that we're going to dive into. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one a little bit towards the end.
Okay, cool. Well, do you have any specific comments that you want to lead off with then?
Yeah. So a lot of times the first thing I ask insurance agents and that I want people to think about that are listening now are where you're getting your leads from, whether they're internet leads or maybe just referrals, your natural market, or, as I said, like from a realtor. Some people buy age leads. And you have to think about your contact strategy, right? So we're talking about mastering your pipeline. So think about the contact strategy that you have for each of those different lead sources. And you probably don't want the same contact strategy, right? So regardless of where you're getting your leads from, you do need a system in place to manage that pipeline. And I mean, I've heard some agents that they're like, yeah, I'm still writing down, when someone calls on a piece of paper. I actually spoke to an agent yesterday that said, "Yeah, we use Excel and we put every single quote in Excel, and that's how we follow up." So think about, what do you have in your pipeline? How are you? What's your plan to follow up, right, with those people in your pipeline? And do you have a specific contact strategy, especially for those new leads that you're getting? And you want your contact strategy to be different, right? So for a brand new lead, an internet lead, for example, you're going to use a different contact strategy than someone that you're trying to cross sell in your current book of business.
Real quick.
Mhm.
I know we have some very smart people on here, but I know we have some not so smart people viewing too. Expand on contact strategy a little bit more about what you mean there.
Yeah. So when you get a brand new lead, what is your plan of action? How do you plan on following up with them? Are you going to call them? Are you going to text them? Are you going to email them? Are you going to send them a letter? And then how many times are you going to do each of those things? So with an internet lead, for example, you're probably not the only person who has purchased that lead. If you're buying an internet lead, there's probably other agents that are also calling as soon as you get that lead. So with internet leads in particular, it's very important that you have a system in place that can automatically reach out as soon as that lead comes in. And I've heard a lot of agents say, like, well, internet leads don't work for me, or yeah, I've tried, but it's probably because that follow-up isn't there. EverQuote actually says that it takes 12 to 14 follow-ups on average to close an internet lead. So if you're not reaching out to them immediately and consistently, then yes, it's not going to work. And then it may not close within those first 30 days. So then what are you going to do? Are you just going to let that money go down the drain? You didn't close them. I'm not going to try again. No, you want to maybe pipeline them out to their renewal date, start calling them maybe 30 to 45 days again. I know some people do a pre-quote, so like a teaser quote. You can even do that. So maybe you didn't close it. I'm going to do a little quick quote, send it to you, and maybe that's what gets them to call in.
Excellent. And I assume Agency MVP uses some automations to trigger that first contact.
Yeah, so we do have automations. We have automatic automations for internet leads. We have templates that are set up in the system, ready for you to use. You don't have to think about what should I say, when should I send it. And we also have what we call X-date automations, which reach out 30 to 45 days before a household's renewal date. So if you don't get to call them, at least you're texting them and emailing them.
Makes sense. What, in your opinion, what do you think is probably the most important part of your pipeline?
I'm going to say your prospects. So your prospects, these are the people that you've already done all the legwork for, right? So your quote's not closed essentially. You've quoted them, you did all the work, you just have to close the sale. Well, you need something to properly follow up. And if you didn't, like I mentioned, if you didn't close it this time, well, doesn't mean you can't close it 6 months from now or a year from now. You can continue to reach out until you close that sale.
Makes sense. So obviously getting better of our nurturing, right, of those leads to move them closer and closer to becoming your client.
Yes, exactly.
I was listening to someone recently and we're talking about looking at your pipelining, understanding the stage that different people are in your pipeline. And their thought process was, if you look at your total pipeline, only 3% of them are ready to buy right now. Right. So if you say you had 100 leads that are sitting in your pipeline, only 3 of them are ready to buy right now, hot leads. And the remaining portion of them are in a stage that might be 3 months away from becoming your customer. They might be 6 months away from becoming your customer, or they might even be a year away from becoming your customer. I think we may have, Ashley might have froze up on us for a second. Hopefully she'll snap back here. But that was something I was actually getting off of that was a Justin Bruck webinar talking about Facebook advertising, right? And again, just to repeat that, he was saying that if you look at your entire pipeline, there's a set of it that's ready to go right now, but that's a very small percentage, right? And the rest of them are anywhere from 3 months to 12 months out from becoming your client. And you have to learn to touch those prospects in different ways to move them through the pipeline.
Right. And, that's a great point you make, because if only 3% are ready to buy right now, when you're calling, let's say you have 300 people, don't you want to make sure you call the best out of those 300, the best 3%? And that's what essentially MVP does. It shows you, hey, if you're only able to call 10 people today, make sure you call the best 10 people on your list that are most likely to close.
And how are you identifying, or how would you think is the best way to identify those best people?
Yeah, so we have a smart algorithm. So we use 30 different components in our algorithm to rank the households. And so it's going to be based on the data that you're putting in there. For example, a renewal date or a claim falling off. So we take the different pieces of data that you've entered, and that's how we rank the households for you.
Okay, so you're obviously looking at key points where maybe there's some sort of I don't know if life change is the right term, right? But you're looking at a
Life change
situation.
could be part of it. Like, let's say, you have a male that turned 25 in the household.
And that's obviously big in auto insurance, right? Because now they can get off their parents' insurance for the first time or something like that.
Yeah, it'll definitely lower that rate.
Understood. Well, what, out of curiosity, and when it comes to pipelines, specifically, where do you think agents struggle the most in regards to moving people through that pipeline?
With agents I see a lot of agents who purchase internet leads,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where they struggle, just getting that first initial contact, and being able to get them on the phone and gather their data, get their information in order to complete that quote. I also see a lot of agents who aren't really using their current book of business to cross-sell, right? I mean, working your own book of business, that's going to be your best ROI. So why not use that book, set up some automations to cross-sell?
Makes sense. That's definitely true in the insurance world. Statistics have all shown that if your policy owner, your client has multiple policies with you, they're much less likely to ever leave you because they kind of feel it's all a group deal or a package deal. Like, well, I'm not going to let him come in here and just snag the auto insurance because I have my auto, my car, my boat, my house. I got everything over there with Joe, for example, or whatever it might be. So understood there. I would really like to get into the slideshow because I'm really curious of what you're going to lay on us. I want to see some of the details. Are we ready to jump in there? I'm itching
let's
for
do
it.
So on the slideshow here, I just have a few examples, excuse me, that you guys can use for automations. So the first one is going to be for an internet lead automation. So as you see here, I have action 1. It's a text message, and we're going to send that out immediately. As soon as that lead comes in, we're going to send them this message. And it's important with these automations, you want it to be short, sweet, to the point. You don't want to make it too long. You want to make it personal as well. So here you see that we're going to include the first name. Hey, I'm with this agency. And then at the very end, it says, would you prefer we send it via text or email, right? So I'm giving them 2 predetermined choices. I'm not leaving it open-ended, like, do you want me to send you a quote? No, leave me alone. Do you want it by text or email? I had someone that said that they changed it to text or phone, and that agent has found success with saying, people saying, give me a phone call. So that's, action 1 right away. Hey, just kind of bait to reel them in. And then we're going to follow up with an email. So we have 2 different methods of contact in which we're reaching out to them. And this email is going to be 5 minutes later. And this is just part of the email that it's showing you. The email can be longer, right? Where we can ask for a little bit more details here, such as, hey, can you verify these are the vehicles I have? Do I have to add anyone else to the policy that's going to be driving? And we have this email going out 5 minutes later because I don't want them to know it's automated. I want them to think I grabbed my phone, wrote out a text message, and then it took me 5 minutes to go and write this email to them. So just a series. Most of our workflows are 7 actions long. So this internet lead one goes on for about 2 weeks. And then if they don't reach out, guess what? We're going to just automatically put them on an X date workflow to start reaching out 45 days before their renewal date.
Okay. And obviously all these things that I'm seeing, this is stuff that's built into agency MVP. These are all obviously customizable, right?
Yes, customizable. These are just 2 examples of the templates that we have. So as I mentioned, we have several templates ready for you to use, where it says like first name and agency name. You don't have to do anything there. We fill in all that information for you.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And you said you have 7 actions in the initial automation?
Yep. So 7 actions alternating between text message and email. We did like a study over the course of a year of all of the texts and emails that were being sent out through these workflows. And we took the ones that had highest response rates. We even did that for the subject line. So fun fact, no subject line had the 3rd highest response rate. So in our templates, you'll see an email that does not have a subject. It's just blank.
Interesting. All right, moving on.
Yeah, so let's go so this one was the internet lead one. Now let's take a look at the renewal automation. So this is going to be a household that you didn't close, the first time that you want to reach out at their renewal. Another thing you can do, since I know there's probably primarily independent insurance agents here, with the renewal automation, you can also set it to look at your renewal date. So you sold a policy, but you probably want to reach out again to maybe requote it, see if you can find a better rate with a different carrier. So that would be a good option for these renewal automations as well. But as you can see here, you can select up to 45 days before. We're going to reach out, let them know, hey, your auto insurance is about to renew. Can I complete another quote for you? And then again, now I have a text message, and that one is going to go out 35 days before. And it's 7 actions as well. And the cool thing about these, if they don't ever respond, these will just keep going on for up to 2 years.
Huh.
In MVP, yes.
So just to make sure I understand when you're saying that, so this renewal automation, for example, it would fire off 45 days before the renewal date. Mm-hmm. It has 7 actions involved with it. If they never respond, then next year, another 45 days before the renewal date, that's going to fire off again. And yes, it'll do that 2 more times before it abandons them, I guess?
Yes. Yep, exactly.
Huh. Now, I don't sell PNC. I can't even spell PNC. I keep putting an N in the middle instead of an ampersand. So I'm curious, is reaching out to your book of business for renewals, I assume that's hyper common, right? If I have 100 people that all have auto insurance with me, if their renewal's coming up, I want to make sure they're keeping it with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you definitely want to do that. You want them, you don't want them to go somewhere else, right? Sure. And then especially with independent agents, sometimes people may forget, oh, I forgot, they could actually find a different carrier for me. So even if I got a notice that my rate is going up, instead of saying, oh, I'm not going to use Ashley again, my rate's going up, let me go back to Ashley because I know that she can write me through a different carrier. So you definitely want to make sure you're reaching out before their renewal so that you don't lose that business. You get to rewrite new business again.
Sure. Makes sense. I'm looking at it because I've never sold auto insurance. Like I said, I can't even spell PNC, but I'm looking at it as the consumer because I've been a consumer of PNC insurance for decades. Never once in my career as a consumer auto driver and insurance owner has my previous insurance agent that I had, which was Geico. I had them for probably 12, 14 years. Never once did they ever reach out to me at renewal time and say, hey, can we help you again? They just sent me the bill again next month and I paid it.
Yeah. And, this is really a game changer because like you said, no one's ever reached out. Imagine your agent reaching out now and saying, hey, I know your insurance policy is about to renew. Did you get the letter saying that your rate is going to go up, or are we still good? We can just keep you with them. So that is just like another level of customer service, right?
Sure.
And you're keeping those customers instead of letting them go to someone else.
Okay. All right. Makes sense to me. I mean, retention is the name of this game. We all know you don't get rich selling one insurance policy. You make a good living by keeping a lot of business on the books and stacking it over time.
Yes,
So
those renewals. For sure.
absolutely. So, I mean, this makes sense to me in the Medicare space because Medicare change, and that's my game, right? Medicare changes every year. There's the drug plans change, the plans change, the networks change, the doctors change, everything changes. So we're always reaching out to our book of business at the end of the year in the same type of fashion to make sure we are keeping them on the books, to make sure, hey, is there a situation with you or a plan change or a doctor change or anything that's going to affect your policy? Let's look at it. I didn't realize that it was that heavy in the auto insurance world too, because I've never experienced it. Nobody's ever said, hey, thanks for being our customer. Just want to make sure you're going to remain our customer. And can we do anything to help you out? They've all just assumed it. And thankfully for them, I'm a pretty easy guy. I just pay the bill.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to my next slide. We have onboarding automations. So this is where you can say, hey, thanks, for your business. Here's our contact information. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out. Can you leave me a Google review, right? So now we're asking them to leave reviews. And the cool thing with the onboarding automations is that you can also set it up to do a cross-sell opportunity. So after maybe in 3 months, hey, do you guys have life insurance? Is your family protected? And now not only are you using this automation to onboard them, but now you're using it to cross-sell them as well.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I like that. How many touch points are you using on like an onboarding piece?
I believe the onboarding one is has a few less actions, maybe about 4 or 5.
Right. I would think so. What do you think is probably the most important aspect of customer onboarding that agents need to get right?
I would say just the first two, right? Because the first one is just making them feel welcome. I know agents might send emails as well, like a welcome email, so you can do a welcome, and then that Google review. That's important when people leave you reviews, because if I go to Google and I say insurance agent in my area, I'm a big review person, like just for anything, when I buy clothes or when I go to a restaurant, that's what I'm looking at reviews. So people want someone that's going to be reliable, that they know is going to take care of them. And what are they going to look at? The reviews for that.
Makes sense. I feel like this is a space right here, this customer onboarding section. I feel like this is a space that most agents drop the ball and don't do it all right. They sell the book of business or they sell the policy, whatever it is. They're like, thanks. And then they're calling the insurance carrier going, when do I get paid? All right, cool. When they get paid, and they're just on to the next deal, right? And that customer's like, thanks. Hopefully they'll stay my client forever. And they're just on to the next deal. But I feel like this is hyper important. This is something that I've definitely been trying to improve or have been improving in my Medicare space. But I feel like this is an area that agents completely drop the ball. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know even that agents have this in their own MVP account, I know it's not being used to the fullest because, like you said, they're just not thinking about it. I closed it. Let me move on to the next one. But this is how you help build that relationship, and how when that renewal does come, they're reaching back out to you.
So we already mentioned review. We mentioned cross-sell. What do you think are the key points that have to be tackled during onboarding to make a good onboarding?
Key points for
anything in
onboarding.
additional to those, right? Obviously, hey, thanks for being our customer.
Right.
Here's a Google review link, and here's a cross-sell opportunity. Is that pretty much it, or do you think there's anything else that needs to be added into that mix that would make it solid?
Yeah, so I mean, along with that, you have other things going on in the background that maybe like your customer service rep is handling, like, hey, I sent the cancellation documents. You don't want them to have to go out of their way to switch to
Hmm.
you, right? So you want to take care of sending their cancellation. You want to make sure you're sending them the ID cards, so that it's just an easy process for them to switch to you.
Makes
And
sense.
that's another thing you can do in MVP. We have tasks. So you can create a series of tasks, and say, okay, once we mark someone as sold, these tasks are going to my customer service person to make sure they do X, Y, Z.
Makes sense. All right. I'm ready. Let's keep it moving.
Well, that was the last slide I had
That was
for
the last
you.
slide. We're doing fantastic. So we went through the three. Let's start over then, real quick. Let's make sure we recap these for them real quick.
Okay.
So we have obviously the first automation, right? Let's make sure we touch our client, let them know, hey, we're working on you. We got your information. How would you prefer us reach out to you? We got touch points there,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have renewal automations, and obviously we have our onboarding. What are some other aspects of agency MVP that an agent would be attracted to that would help them?
Yeah, so we have the algorithm, as I mentioned, that's ranking your prospects in order of who's most valuable, who's most likely to close. We have those immediate contacts with automations, your pipeline. We also have texting included. So you get 3,000 text messages for free every month with us. You can send texts out, get incoming texts. Another thing that agents really love is our reporting. So you're buying these leads, you're doing all this stuff, but how are you deciding, okay, yeah, this is money well spent here? Well, we have two different reports. One of them is a geographical report that will show you where you have the most quotes in as far as zip codes go, your average savings per zip codes, your closing ratios for zip codes, so that if you are purchasing internet leads, you can purchase them in the zip codes that you know you're doing well in. So I typically recommend that you run that report every 3 months or so that you can switch up your zip codes if needed. And then another great report is the marketing report so that you can track your return on investment. So, if you paid to be at an event, well, was it worth it? Or if you're purchasing leads from different vendors, you can see, what, this vendor isn't really working out for me like this one is. I might, up my lead purchases or just completely remove that other vendor. So those are a few of the many key things about agency
So it's
MVP.
basically helping you measure your ROI based on the different lead types or lead sources that you might have.
Yes. So if it's a referral, or if it's a quote wizard lead, or if it's a Cole X States list that you purchased and imported into the system, you can track all of that to track your ROI.
Fantastic. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, and we do actually, I forgot, I did have one other slide, and
Uh-oh.
it's just a coupon code that we have for anyone that's listening. If they want to try MVP out, you do get a free trial, and we're offering $100 off of your first month with the coupon code SYND23.
There you go, guys. So they are agency MVP is already a preferred vendor in our vendors list. If you've never seen our preferred vendors list, you need to go look at it because we vetted a lot of great people in there. This is pretty awesome, right? So they're giving you an opportunity to try it out. You're going to get $100 off your first month. Just use the code Syndicate23, all in caps. We will make sure that link and that code is included in the comments here. So, and then Ashley, I'm curious, if people are more interested in this, they want to talk to you some more, what is the best way that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so on that website right there, try.agencymvp.com, you can book a demo with me or with another one of our sales reps, and we can do a demo there. Or feel free to email me directly. My email is Ashley, ASHLEY, @agencymvp.com.
Fair enough. Piece of cake. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been enlightening. We're glad to have you guys as part of the preferred vendor list, and certainly appreciate you guys throwing out a discount for our group. Hopefully we'll get some good traffic over there for you. And guys, if we're closing up here, but if you got a quick question, drop it in the comments. We'll be sure to address it. Otherwise, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Another great show. Give Ashley a call. Get on Agency MVP if you need it. Because if you're not using a CRM, you definitely need one. If you're sitting out there on an Excel sheet still, and I know you're out there because I've seen you in action. Don't use the Excel sheet. Get you a real CRM, a real agency management system, and this is definitely one that can help you out. So thank you again, Ashley, for coming on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we are here every Tuesday. Next week, we're going to have Stephen Guilfoyle on the show to come talk to you guys a little bit about group insurance opportunities. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week on Tuesday Training. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye.